In this video, I'm going to explore how the idea of a learner's mindset aligns with the field of horticulture. For those of you unfamiliar with the term, horticulture could be described as the art and science of growing plants. It includes growers, nurseries, landscapers, food producers, the suppliers for all those roles, and many other parts. Horticulture is always changing because we are constantly discovering new information and technology that alters how we make decisions. For this reason, having a growth mindset is incredibly valuable. The term growth mindset and the contrasting fixed mindset has been described by Carol Dweck in 2006 and in many times since then by herself and by others. As I continue speaking, I want to encourage you to think about your journey in education or elsewhere. What do you think about your talents and abilities? What do you think about trying something new? As a way to illustrate the fixed and growth mindsets, I want you to imagine two groups of people moving through a long hallway full of doors and intersecting hallways. The first group believes that they can only travel down the hallways and the doors that are already open, so they follow those paths that somebody else has chosen for them. The second group believes that every door represents a possibility. Someone may open the door for them. They may try one and find a door unlocked. They may have a key or find a key for one of the doors, or if they're really determined, they may even pick one of the locks. The first group I described could be said to have a fixed mindset. In this mindset, your talents and abilities are limited. You either have it or you don't. You believe your abilities are related to what your parents can or cannot do. Mistakes are failures and a sign that you should stop trying. If you can't be the best at something, you should not even bother. In a fixed mindset, you follow what you perceive as predetermined pathways. You stick to trying things for which you believe you already have a natural talent. The second group represents a growth mindset. Understanding that you can develop your talents and abilities is a part of this belief. You believe that through hard work, strategic effort, and with support from others, you can get better at anything you put your mind to. Challenges become opportunities. Mistakes are a part of your learning. You can try anything you want. You will improve your skills on anything that you put the effort into. What matters is the experiences that you gain and take with you into your future. Once you've moved out of a fixed mindset into a growth mindset, you can then progress to a learner's mindset. Whereas a growth mindset is the belief that you can make changes. The learner's mindset believes that you need to take actions to make those changes possible. This gives you an ownership of your own knowledge and skill development. You get to decide what you want to learn, how you want to learn it, and then reflect on whether that's working for you. If that doesn't work, you try something else. Beyond the learner's mindset is the innovator mindset. This isn't achieved by everyone, and even then it's not for every aspect of their lives. People tend to develop an innovator mindset for subjects that they have mastered or for things that they are very passionate about. Leaders in the field of horticulture often have a learner's or innovator mindset. They have studied, whether formally or informally, the field of horticulture. They've created something of value and adapted as the industry changed over time. They cannot rest on their successes. New understanding of how our ecosystems function, changing climates, and evolving opinions of land use have made the industry almost unrecognizable from what it was as little as 10 years ago. When I first studied horticulture, plant diseases caused by bacteria and fungi were a problem in this region. That's due to all the excessive moisture from the rain that we get. To mitigate this risk of disease, we were taught to remove fallen leaves before the winter so that the diseases have nowhere to spend the cold days. Now, we talk about how much incredible value the leaf litter has to our gardens, to our native pollinators, the soil and the soil organisms, and to the plants themselves. Now we encourage people to leave the leaf litter in place until the spring, and if possible, to let it decompose in the garden. The growth of a tree provides an excellent analogy for the learner's mindset. You can see the pine on the left. It puts roots into the soil seeking water and nutrients. The above-ground parts grow toward the sun. If the water changes its location in the ground, the roots will grow toward it. You can see in this photo the lateral roots of the pine going into the slope, seeking anchoring and water. If the light moves because of changing seasons or shade from neighboring structures that have grown up, the plant will stretch out in the brightest direction. We call this phototropism. You can see this palm tree has been growing toward the strongest light source for a very long time and has changed direction as a result. When we prune our plants, often dormant buds will wake up. In the left picture, you can see new buds growing from just below the pruning cuts. If the growing tip of a plant dies, like this tree in the center photo, the leader needs to be replaced. Another branch will grow more vertically and stronger than its neighbors in order to fulfill that role. The plant will not give up just because it doesn't have the ideal amount of light, water, or nutrients. It will keep striving until all of its resources are used up. If one part fails, it sends the energy somewhere else. Even when it's struggling, the plant tries to reproduce. Some stressed plants will produce a burst of cones or flowers to pass on their genetic material before they die. The picture on the right shows that cones are so tightly packed they are weighing down the branches. Also remember that proper pruning can make a plant healthier and stronger. We often grow the most after challenges and setbacks. Sometimes we find a better path for us when our original plans didn't work out. Finally, there's some satisfaction that comes from moving past those obstacles and getting a glimpse of our actual capabilities. If you think you have a learner's mindset or want to develop a learner's mindset, that's fantastic. Don't get discouraged if you find yourself in another mindset. It's more like a gradient or a sliding scale. Your mindset for a particular subject may depend on how you were supported when learning about that subject as a kid. Or you may start with a learner's mindset but slip back into a fixed mindset after some challenges. You may have a growth mindset, but are not yet willing or able to put in the time and effort required by a learning mindset. Moving up and down the gradient is all a part of your individual journey, and it will change depending on what situation you find yourself in. Knowing about a learner's mindset is not enough to see significant changes in your life. In his 2021 video, Learner's Mindset Explained, Dr. Harapnuik mentions that the learning environment also needs to change. A learner's mindset, especially a newly developing one, can be stifled by a traditional educational setting. This is when learning is linear and assessments are summative. You follow the prescribed curriculum, assessments are graded, and only let you know whether you met the learning objectives. When it's grade-driven like this, it is difficult to identify and develop your areas of weakness. If you want to foster a learner's mindset, students need the chance to apply their knowledge to real situations, to make connections with their existing knowledge. In this situation, the instructor facilitates the student's critical thinking. Feedback is frequent and immediate. It is also forward-thinking. It identifies their current strengths and ways to improve their weak points. Students can address their gaps as the course progresses. The aim is for long-term improvement, not just success in the course. When I am responsible for a class, all the knowledge and skills they need to achieve the learning outcomes are, of course, included and outlined in detail. But I also like to make room for them to consider their own frame of mind. I like to offer them forward-focused feedback and a chance to experience a less grade-driven style of learning. This lets them take ownership of their own education, and finally they can gain some clarity about themselves as a learner. I'd like to close with a story. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I love to learn everything I can about plants, about landscape construction, about my kids, and about a myriad of other topics. But I still find that I have a fixed mindset for some things. For example, I love to sing along to music, but I find it pretty difficult to stay on key. Even if I took vocal lessons, I would probably never be decent at it. This is my fixed mindset. I remember being in a school choir and being assigned the task of flipping the music pages for the pianist. Perhaps I was just paying attention better than other kids or quicker at turning pages, but I assumed it was because I was a terrible singer. I often have to remind myself that I've never spent any significant time or effort trying to get better at singing. I have no idea the limits of my vocal prowess. It's very empowering to believe that we can get better at things by working hard, even when it is something outside of our comfort zone. I hope you have found some things that are both interesting and useful in this video. To go deeper on the topic of a learner's mindset, a good place to start is with Dr. Harapnuik's website, It's About Learning. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments about this video. See you next time!